What is the best spot on the territory to watch the sunrise?
Um, I think anywhere with a lake. I always find a lot of peace in the water. Being with it and being able to give that offering in the morning as the sun comes up is a beautiful thing. So that's anywhere with a lake.
Favorite word in the Anishinaabe?
My favorite word has to be doegan. Um, that's our word for drum, but when we break it down and we look at it a little more, just like most of our language, it doesn't just mean drum. It means that heartbeat, that heart rhythm, that thing that brings us all together as one. So that's probably my favorite word.
You're in charge of planning catering for a community event. What's the meal you are ordering for everybody?
It's got to be the classics and some of my favorites. Just gonna get that ham and scone out there, that corn soup. I'm not a big fan, hot take, but I would bring Three Sisters soup as well because I do enjoy that. And got to have some of that wild rice and mixed berries with a little maple syrup drizzle. It's to die for. So
Name one MCFN elder or youth who inspires you.
it's a really difficult question because I've had the chance to work with a lot of our elders and be a part of a lot of different teachings with them. And I've worked with so many of our youth and learned so much from them. They're one of the greatest teachers that that we can have. But if I had to pick one, I guess I would go with Mark Salt because he's kind of that individual that really pulled me in and made me feel like I was at home, like I was where I was supposed to be when I was starting to learn about culture and our teachings. So if I had to choose one, it would be Mark.
If you could describe your leadership style in one word, what would it be?
In one word, Naganzajic, that leadership. I suppose stoic would be the one word that I would use. I'm a pretty quiet individual, and I prefer to sit back and think about things a lot more than just sit around a table and shout and argue. I like to reflect on what I'm hearing so that I can give a proper, honest opinion that feels like it's the right path.
Who would play you in a movie about MCFN politics?
Who'd play me in a movie? Well, geez, I don't know. That's a Patrick Swayze. Um, no, I'm not nearly that cool. Geez. Who would play me in a movie about MCFN politics? What kind of question is this? I don't think I'm movie star material. Who's that guy from Wind Talkers? That guy. That guy.
What song would play when you walk into a meeting?
Oh. Way Up by Mr. Saga.
Who tells the best stories in the community?
Who tells the best stories in the community? The youth. Um, any of their stories, whether they're embellished or not, always have so much character and so many additions, and you can hear all of that imaginative process that runs through them. And that's one of those things that I always strive to have is that childlike mind when I'm telling my stories or when I'm offering those kinds of teachings and stuff. I try and remember that childlike honesty and that beauty that comes through that imagination.
What's one thing that always makes you proud to be from MCFN?
Um, I think the opportunities that I've had working with those young people and watching them grow and thrive and become something more than they thought they could ever be. Um, and seeing them go through that school process and graduate and become successful, I think that's one of those things that really elicits that sense of pride that I got to be just a small stepping stone in that journey for them.
Tell me about yourself and why you were inspired to run for council.
Honey, Buju, Gnu Miigwaan Indigenous Cause, Makwa Dodum Dao, Mississaugas of the Karet and Dunjaba, Anishinaabe Nene Ndao. My name's Chris Mike. That's my English name. I'm Bear Clan, and I'm from Mississaugas of the Credit, Anishinaabe, proud Anishinaabe man. The reason that I decided that I was going to run for council, I've ran before and not been successful yet. But the reason that I want to run, that I want to be a part of that table, is not only so that I can learn from that the people that have been on that table before and expand what I know about my home, because I've only been back for 10 years, back in community. I don't live here. I'm still an off reserve member, but I want to be able to support our people in our community, not just in this community in particular, but our whole community, the ones that don't live here, that seek those supports. That's what I want to be able to support our people and help us grow and walk in a good way.
What are the biggest priorities that you believe Chief and Council the next term must address, and why?
I think one of those big things that I would imagine other people are going to talk about too are our language and our culture and traditions, and understanding those things. I think that identity building is going to help us grow. But when people look at the language and they talk about it and they think that it's just learning another way to speak, our old way of speaking, it's more than that. Our lessons and our teachings are built into those things, into those words. I said earlier that Doegan was one of my favorite words, and it's because of those pieces of teaching that go along with that single word. The way that drum, that space, those things are made to bring us together and pull us together and have us beating of one heart. What was the question again? Because I ramble sometimes.
The biggest priorities that Chief and Council should be focusing on
Right.
next term.
So there's the language, there's those culture and identity pieces, because we know that our communities, Indigenous communities themselves, all have a lot of mental health and addictions issues. But I found that one of the things that helped me and that I use to help a lot of those youth that I work with is that sense of identity and understanding who we are and who we were and where we could be, how we did walk, and teaching them to walk that way as well, so that they can teach those next generations, those next 7 generations, how to walk that way as well, that Minabo Mods and that good way of living. But also, starting to build community. And I don't just mean, again, just this single community, but that greater community, the ones that don't live here, the ones that, may have been taken away when they were very young, having them find that sense of identity and community as well, and being pulled into the embrace of this space is a really important thing that we need to start addressing as well.
How can we better connect off-reserve members to community, opportunities, and decision-making?
That's a great question. There is a serious disconnect when it comes to off-reserve members and understanding what kind of programs and things are out here and what kind of things that they can access. And I mean, it's a digital world. At some point, we need to be able to start really utilizing that to our advantage, because I don't think we do right now. As an off-reserve member myself, I never really had any connection to our community for a large portion of my life until I went to school and started working down here, and seeing the programs and things that are available here. It really opened my eyes to what could be. But being able to reach out and assist those that don't have the opportunity to come here all the time and maybe access those things digitally, or even just reaching out and sharing all of those programs with individuals outside of the main community here, would go a long way in opening up those relationships.
How can we address mental health and addiction challenges in our community?
That's a hard question. It's hard to address those things when individuals don't seek help, or when they do seek help and the people that they're seeking help from don't understand what reaching out for those people looks like. Because it might just be a little clue, one of those little things that, they're kind of testing the waters and they're reaching out. I've been, an advocate of having everyone in our communities knowing that mental health, first aid, the Safe Talk and Assist programs are great programs that help you recognize those little hints that somebody is reaching out and asking for help. As far as actually addressing those concerns, we need to be able to build up the programming with individuals that are in place in our mental health programs that people trust and want to come to, but also opening those up and not just looking at it as a Western mental health modality, but also opening the doors to our traditional practitioners and people like that would, have a totally different perspective on how we deal with mental health and addictions, and have them work together and build that path.
What role do you see Anishinaabemowin and traditional knowledge playing in our nation's governance and programming?
I see our language and traditional governance and those ceremony aspects playing a huge role in the way that we move forward. Because when we talk about that kind of spirituality, it's about building those better paths and working together and coming together and building a consensus instead of, all of those pieces that continue to keep us separated. Those things help build relationships between people that, maybe their families have been feuding for generations, but the opportunity to go and sit down together in a circle around a fire, or going to a sweat lodge together and being able to speak freely and honestly about those hurts and those thoughts plays a huge part. And I think that that's something that our table could use. Our table could use those ways to connect on a level that's not just a political level, but also a personal and spiritual level, to be able to sit in those spaces.
How can we better support artists, knowledge keepers, and cultural practitioners as a part of our nation's future?
And we have to be able to honestly start connecting the elders that we have in community with those younger generations, and really making an effort to have their knowledge heard by those people. And also encouraging those younger people or those generations coming up that really want to learn, like having some sort of Ashkabewish, that helper program, that they could go and they could learn from these people and pick up those skills and find their strengths, those gifts that all of us have when we're born, so that they pick up those pieces and those tools and those kits so that they can pass those on to those next generations as well.
What is your vision for land stewardship and environmental protection within MCFN territory?
I think the way that I think about that environmental stewardship is that, that's one of those things that was given to us, that responsibility for the lands and the waters of Turtle Island, of sorry, sort of those things that was given to us, that stewardship over Turtle Island. So the way that I see that working is, we have to work together with the individuals that are here now as well. They also have that responsibility to take care of those waters and these lands. And maybe part of our role, or hopefully a big part of our role, would be, teaching those people how it is to walk in balance with the land. When we talk about those things, we talk about not stopping at that first patch of medicine and picking what you need, but going to the next one, to make sure that medicine is always there for future generations, right? So it's about talking and teaching individuals what land stewardship looks like, and the ways that we would have protected our plants and animals and resources over generations. I worry often about what those land claims and settlements do to those individuals that may not have the facilities to take care of that kind of money. You know, we hand out these large amounts of monies, and then, you know, overdoses go up or car crashes go up because people are drinking and driving. And, you know, I know what I would have done with money when I was younger, and it wouldn't have been anything good. So I think teaching people before we're just handing out these masses of cash for some reason, and teaching people about what it is to invest that money and what that looks like, and if our nation can do that for us, is actually invest that into those future generations, then I think that's the way that we have to go about it. We can't be just handing out large sums of money, especially, you know, to try and win a vote or win a popularity contest. We have to be thinking about what the repercussions are of handing out that kind of money, and not teaching people how to take care of it.
How can we support community-owned businesses and create employment opportunity for members?
I think creating employment opportunity in general on our reserve is going to fall back a lot on what we're willing to pay for individuals. So we're making sure that people feel valued for their work, and whether that's, you know, from the working class to the people that have doctorates in whatever, making those people feel like they're valued in their community, and actually enticing our own community members to come here and work, instead of just having to hire outside constantly to people that maybe just using this as an experience, as a stepping stone, so that they can further their own careers and leave. We should be pulling people in and teaching them, and valuing them, I mean, based on what their credentials are and what their experiences is working and living in the community. The enforcement and understanding of our treaty rights. I think there needs to be something that actually assists in educating. We can't just rely on those little booklets and stuff, but some sort of course or something that really teaches our people, our community members, and other individuals what being a treaty holder is and what that looks like. Because we're not the only people that are the treaty holders of our land, right? Those other people that have come over here, that's who we have that treaty with. So helping them understand what treaty relationship is and what treaty rights are, and what that looks like, would go a long way, not just in the community, but in the wider scope of it as well.
What does self-determination mean for Mississaugas of the Credit?
Self-determination, I think, means having that freedom from all of that oppression that held us down before, and to act in a way that, you know, maybe beyond the scope of our general council table, but, you know, our traditional way of governing. Those are the pieces that we need to be able to put in place, so that we're following the ways that we're supposed to govern, the way that we're supposed to move forward. You're gonna have to ask the question again.
What does self-determination mean for Mississaugas of the Credit?
So a big part of that traditional governance system would and putting away this imposed system that we have now, would go a long way in self-determination. Also opening up and being able to determine who our people are. You know, the reason that I came back to the community in the first place was that I didn't have status at the time. You know, during that time when they were taking a lot of rights away from our people, my Indigenous ancestors lost their rights based on who they were marrying and whether they, stayed on reserve or joined the army and whatnot. So by the time it reached my generation, we didn't have those rights until those other clauses went through, which allowed me to get those rights back. But with that self-determination, we wouldn't be trying to separate ourselves in that way where we're trying to wash away the Indigenous people. We're trying to build up our people and our community. So that's kind of what self-determination looks like to me.
If a young person came to you
Yes.
with a new idea for the community, how would you help them bring it to life?
I think advocacy would be one of the big parts of that, helping them bring that to life. But also, going through what I might know about the subject, and then, if I know somebody that knows whatever the idea is or knows of the idea and how to elevate it, and then bringing it to the table, I think are all ways that you can really take an idea and help it grow and help that youth understand what that process looks like, and then taking it to the table and pitching that idea and really encouraging and supporting the idea from the ground up.
How can we ensure that youth voices are respected and represented in decision making?
I think one of the ways that we could do that is really, I believe we have a youth council, but I don't know how big their voice is, so really elevating those voices and understanding that those young people are our future leaders. Those are those future generations, the ones that we're supposed to be listening to and helping grow and building. So having them sit alongside the council that we have so that they can learn and grow and have their voices heard at that table, and honoring those voices. A lot of people, especially of older generations, that grew up that youth are to be seen and not heard, have to relearn that thought process, because these are the people that are going to be picking up those torches and those leadership opportunities. So teaching them and listening and elevating those voices beyond just our reserve even, but also to the wider community. I think one that put his hands on the work. When I have the chance to learn from some of my elders, I think one of the biggest things that I always take away is that you have to put your hands on the work. And I think that can mean a lot of different things and to a lot of different people, but going out there and, if somebody's having a sweat lodge, or if somebody's having a funeral and they need those fire keepers, or, they just need support, putting your hands on the work means going there and offering that help, not expecting anything back, but just going and offering yourself to help out whoever it may be, anybody, somebody who puts their hands on the work. That's who I want to be remembered as. I think that this is all of our community. It's not just the chief and council's community. It's not just, the people that work here's community. It's all of our community. Whether you're on reserve or off reserve, this is our space. These are our families. And the way that you vote is going to affect all of those people, not just one family, not just one group of people. It's going to affect everybody. So, when you're going there, don't vote for what you think you'll get the most out of. Vote for what you think your community is going to get the most out of.